Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Will. Hopefully, you're having a great day today. In this video, we're going to go over the top space stocks to watch right now, some space tech. We got Redwire, we got Black Sky. Let's jump into it. Couple really big moves recently, especially here for Black Sky. We see them surge up into this 100% profits on Black Sky. So we'll get into that one. Of course, we could even touch on KULR. It's been a while, but that one's been a little more shaky. I see JG in the chat with the thinking face. You got Aaron Johnson says, "What up, chat? What's going on?" I haven't said "What up, chat" before, but I guess that's what we got to do now as the chat start to heat up, right? What up, chat? So as we are building out some of the lists of our space tech, we got some good defense companies in here, some surveillance companies, some technology companies, and AI companies for space. Then you got other different markets that are growing pretty fast. We got semiconductors. And one thing to note about semiconductors, we just had our recent earnings come out here. We're going to have targets later on today. But if you see here, you got who's reporting? You have Taiwan Semiconductor on Thursday. I see that highly anticipated earnings starting to make its way back into the stockmate scene. BlackRock reported today. Most of institutions are reporting this week. And then we got some tech with ASML tomorrow. You got United Airlines and Taiwan Semi on Thursday. That's a big one, as well as Netflix. I think consumer spending with Netflix, tech companies investing in AI with Taiwan Semi, that will be some good indication. ASML is going to be a good one too. And United as well with the airport industry. They got some recent benefits, maybe some wind at their back from the recent big beautiful bill that we could see play into that. So Johnny says, "What up, all my long lost friends?" I love it, dude. Or newly found friends. When it comes to Redwire, you got this move upwards. We actually bought a dip today on Redwire. I wanted to see how this thing goes. It almost looks like a market cycle. Are you guys familiar with what a market cycle looks like? It's kind of like Bitcoin 2017. So if I do like market cycle, let's just do like an image. This is kind of how it looks. Actually, these are not the best. Let's see if we find a better one. That's a good one, kind of. So you have like this market cycle, there it is, where everything goes to the top, then you come up, bull trap, you got it return, and then return to normal. It almost looks like that, right? You got this push up, then you see this push up. But I think Redwire is different. I don't think it's a pump. I don't think it's just all hype. You know, one of the things that oftentimes happens with space stocks is everybody's hyped, everybody's releasing articles. Let's check RDW stock. Is there, a bunch of hype articles, or what does that kind of look like from the news perspective? Let's see. You got some fact articles. Grants 84.9 RSUs to Matthew Gurusamy. So some slight dilution, maybe not the best. There's some hype. An article once every day or so, but it seems to not be getting like crazy hype or anything like that. Bull case theory. Okay, so maybe a little more on the. They say the current price at the time of that article was July 3rd. That was a while ago. 15.99, and they said projected 23% growth year over year into 2026. So they're bullish, but not a lot of hype articles. And what does that bring us to? That kind of brings us to, all right, let's look at this chart. We get this outlook on Redwire where we have this support and resistance here at about $14, started kind of consolidating. Now the question is, do we see a reversal? This is a 3-stage. You got the bull trend, and then we see it reverse back down. Or does this trade that we've been watching for the last few days continue to play out, right? So we kind of mapped this out back here at the support. We said it's possible that Redwire sees this continuation up into these ranges, about a 40% increase up into $20 or more. And, you know, it actually kind of has made some of that move. At one point, up 22% of that 40% gain. Now it's pulled back down to 20%. But what we see is this bull trend kind of kick off here. And we're watching it closely because you got this trend. I don't know if you guys could see too well because there's a lot of drawings and stuff, but let me just kind of map this out, right? So maybe this is what it looks like, and that's kind of why we're in it, is we're looking for maybe this hyperbole case to kick in where we see the sell down today. Maybe we see this continuation up. Maybe it takes a little bit longer on this trend, or even this greater trend, it consolidates back down and consolidates from left to right. But we're kind of looking for this more or less bull trend here. So you might say, why is that? The financials are something we're going to look at. The news is something we're going to look at. But when it comes to the market of space tech is growing. There's even a connection, Redwire, with Big Bear. I was just on the phone with someone that's in the Air Force, actually. And it's funny because when I was researching Redwire, you know how you kind of want to hear about something from someone else rather than hear directly from that something or someone, because you get an outside perspective first, maybe. I kind of like to go that route when analyzing companies, because when you go to a company, obviously you go straight to the company. They're going to tell you everything that's like in their best interest, most likely, which is great. Like they're selling, it's good. But I wanted to do that. So first thing when I walked into the big, it wasn't like a cathedral. It was a center basically, but it was beautiful place in Colorado Springs. And there's all these people out of the military. They're wearing their full dress. You got a bunch of investors. You see some engineers and people from all over the world at the Space Symposium in Colorado Springs. And it was like spring. I'm having allergies. I get inside. I'm like, man, it's good to get some cold water. It's like nice, not so hot. I'm walking through. I see the Air Force Research Laboratory, and I immediately go, I know that there's some connections with this company from, it was IonQ, so the quantum company. It was it Redwire here, and I was thinking I'm going to talk with this Air Force Research Laboratory guy and see what it is that he knows about some of the Redwire tech. And he had really good things to say. He said, Redwire has this good sensors and good satellite tech, and they're building out some good defense tech, not just the software, but some of the hardware. And Johnny says, what are your thoughts on Black Sky's new contract? We'll take a look. I saw you commented in Stockmate, guys. So I totally see that. And any thoughts on Sentinel-1? We'll take a look there. And JG says, things have been going well for me in the market. So well, I'm getting scared waiting for the inevitable collapse. How do you cope if you get that feeling? Companies are always bringing value. They're always bringing value. And if they stop bringing value, then the market's going to go down for sure. But I think a lot of these companies are building some really amazing value. And it can be scary sometimes when you see the stocks go up. But realize that there is a value reason. The scary part could be that you can't control whether an institution sells tomorrow, right now, or anytime in the future, which could drive the price down. But it's just like during the Great Depression with Roosevelt. I think it was in 1929. He said this great quote about fear. And the quote was, let's see what it was, if I could find it. Quote, fear, depression. And he says, let's see if they find it. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I mean, if you're having a fear, it's because of you're having like an anticipation of something happening in the future and you don't know. So there's no reason to feel scared. The best thing you could do is own assets in this world in a place where dollars inflate. The best thing that you can do is um, look at companies that are providing value, find institutional attracting value, or build your own company. And on top of that, the best thing that you could do is not have fear. Have confidence and know that as long as you have a plan, it's probably going to be okay. You know, um, nothing to fear but fear itself. Marty probably got it before I showed the quote. There it is. Yeah, I mean, I fear feeling scared for no reason, you know? Um, and then JG says, I'm doing so well. I feel like I'm stealing money. I have issues. You're serving too. There is a service in the market. You know, people want to sell and you're on the other side of it and you're there to buy. And some people get scared. Some people have impatience. Some people have already made their money or some people have lost money, whatever it is. You're there to serve. You're investing in these companies. You're giving them growth as well. And there's a reason that it exists. It's because why does the market exist? Because investors put money into it. You're serving these companies in a way. So you got to find the companies that you think are worth giving your money, really. And then if they're not, if you don't know about them, don't touch them. I think that's really important to like realize about stocks. So anyway, Redwire. We're looking at the market. I'm talking with some executives there. I'm talking with some engineers, and they're telling me about the technology, and it looks really good. So then we jump into Redwire's news. We go to the stock here. What we know is that they're at a $2.4 billion market cap. They're up there, but they got about 750 employees, so they are cranking out some contracts. The revenues maybe declined in the last year a little bit quarter over quarter. Saw a little bit of that, but annually we see them really improve their financials. Revenue has been going up. And while it maybe declined throughout the year in 2024, it was their best year yet. And they're a relatively new company. So you see the revenue increase up to $300 million. And here's the deal. They already made 60 million in that first quarter. So they're on track for about $250 million. Now, they also signed this contract at that same event that we were there. So you can see some of their tech, space tech. They do defense as well. And there's actually some sort of partnership with Big Bear, which we will go into in a moment. It was this contract that they signed back at that event that I was at here. I was here. I got to see this get signed actually. And it put them into the iSpace US, American Lunar Exploration Company, specializing in CIS lunar space transportation and infrastructure services, that they are now got the NASA CLPS contract, a multi-award indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, with a cumulative maximum contract value of $2.6 billion through 2028. Now, Redwire was one of the 14 prime contractors that are going to be one of the companies servicing this $2.6 billion contract. So I think that's something that shouldn't go overlooked. I think it was pretty under the radar. You don't even really see it. I don't know if they even say it in the headline. Do they even say 2.6 billion? They don't. But I think that's something that could really tie well into some of their growth. And then they also got some NASA contracts. They got approval. You could see them build into this contract. So this means the contract going potentially well. It's actually really cool. They're building like a moon base or a Martian base, excuse me. And they're getting pieces of some big contracts. And so you see that take place. Then we look at the financials again. And this is where things get interesting. Their balance sheet. They had their total liabilities higher than their assets in 2024, but they did cut it down here in March and cleaned up the balance sheet, brought it under $250 million in liabilities, with their total assets about $0.3 billion. So they're up there now with their assets and liabilities below. So those things kind of paired with the overall uptrend. We're looking for this move to continue to play out. It's already made about 10% gain, so we're going to continue to watch it. Monitor these levels, especially this $15 range. The new kind of support for red wire seems to be kind of in this range right here. You got this level, this resistance here, support there. It was a support right here about December 30th. Then you had it acting as a resistance there in May, end of May. Then you got some consolidation as well as resistance here at in July 7th, 2025. And then you see that kind of play out there. So we do see it now getting into this consolidation here. Maybe we see that pullback as low as 1650 somewhere in here. But we're looking and targeting to kind of get back up into this $19 range. At least that's what I'm watching in my position as we invest some capital into it. Relatively small position. You know, we're talking, it's not huge. We're talking about a, excuse me, getting a call. How do I turn this off? There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Relatively small, about a 10%. Yeah, I don't need to take that. Don't need to take that phone call, but maybe at some point. You got a 10% margin up to here. And if we see the continuation of the trend up here into about 40%. So that's what we're watching with Redwire, and we'll get into it. So Sentinel-1, I'm convinced Sentinel-1 is pretty much cybersecurity and tech software stuff. And I think that they're a little more speculative as of right now. Like they have their service. They're definitely used for schools to monitor testing, especially in a world where they don't want like people cheating in university. They use Sentinel-1. They use Sentinel-1 to, I actually know this because I had to install it a couple of years ago when I was getting a certification for a CRM in order to use it or get hired. It was years ago, but I remember Sentinel-1 was like monitoring to see if you're cheat or something like that, watching your screen. So there's some potential, but I think they're really big and they're probably moving a little slower. And I thought, if I'm not mistaken, the revenue was decreasing. I could take a look. I'll take a quick look at the financials here on Sentinel-1, and then that's going to be about it because I want to stay on track. Sentinel-1 stock. Let's take a look. $5.9 billion valuation. The revenue here annually was increasing. Was it their balance sheet? The balance sheet kind of tapered off, but kind of just holding steady. So not bad. Seeing some increased revenues. Yeah, I mean, fairly good financials. 200 million a quarter. But net income super negative. Why are they so negative when they're a software company and they got 2,700 employees? To me, that's crazy. That's why I wouldn't touch them. They're a software company. They have 2,700 employees and they're negative hundreds of millions of dollars on their income. That to me makes no sense. And I might sound like contrarian in that, but like there's something there, right? Because think about like Twitter, for example. What did Elon do when he bought it? He fired like 90% of the workforce. And it works fine. In fact, they've done more innovation. So like he basically said, this is a software company. We can run this with 10 people. That's what he said. I mean, yeah, there's like costs, data center costs, all those things. It's not cheap, but definitely not like thousands and thousands of employees to run a software. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of crazy how many employees they have. So for that reason, I'm not that interested in it. But hopefully that is helpful for you. It doesn't mean it's a bad investment. In fact, if you find it to be some of the value that I didn't cover because I didn't go super deep, by all means, you can, feel free to let me know or yeah, if you want to invest in it, by all means. Clay Zabel, what's your thoughts on Cooler these days? Yeah, we take a look. Marty, nothing to fear but fear itself. JG says, I guess the underlying question is, when do I take profits? All comes down to your plan. There is a link I'll leave for you it is this stock profit calculator. And we use it to calculate our risk whenever we take trades. Like this trade, we just used it for this morning, actually. So yeah, we were in the dip on Big Bear this morning, and we were using it this morning. I think it was $7. Yeah, I think that's right. So I'll drop the link for you in the chat. There you are. Enjoy, sir. All right. So let's take a look at the next one. The next one is going to be Black Sky. Now, Black Sky was one of the first ones I heard mentioned here. We have positions in Black Sky. I've been covering it for really since it pulled back into this range. It was right around here that I was not very like bullish on it. Some people were telling me about it, and it started to hype up in February, and I was like, it doesn't really make sense. Then we saw it sell down big. And one thing I'm missing that I want to go over is, oh yeah, and about that trade calculator, just so you know, I see the comments there. Thanks. Yeah. It doesn't work so hot on like mobile right now. So, but you can use it as much as you want. It's all like coded there. So if you open up on your desktop, your laptop, it should work great. I use it all the time, but I do have to still optimize some of that code. But yeah, anyway. Black Sky. So you see it surged to $25. We ended up buying here somewhere around 12 bucks. It's been a nice trade, over 100% in the last month. So we see it get up to those $25 ranges. This morning, and what we talked about was a potential rejection here at $25, or to use that $25 price point as a support. And so we see it continue up, surge to 26.27, and you see it kind of hold above that 25.90. Why are those the levels? Well, those are just previous resistance levels. What does the market look like? They're getting new contracts. In fact, I just saw a comment earlier today. Someone said, Will, check out that Black Sky contract. Some of the good articles come out in Stockmate. If you guys ever want these pre-market and after hours earnings stuff with the different companies that are reporting, along with different insights, there is some good insights inside of here. So Johnny actually just dropped this. It's a new contract here that he screenshotted and dropped for their Gen 3 and Gen 2 assured services. So again, guys, the lifetime access for Stockmate, the current pricing, is going away in, I think, about 6 hours. So tonight, it's going away. I've been talking about it for a couple days, even about a week now. So if you want those daily live trading sessions and you want inside Stockmate here, along with the earnings and being there at market open tomorrow morning at 6:30, it's the second link in the description. It's expiring our current sale tonight. So if you want to take advantage of it, again, recurring lifetime, like you're getting lifetime access to recurring daily live trading where you see my entries and my exits. Second link below. Even if you're like not really sure, simply just take a look at it, and I would love to hear your thoughts. So into Black Sky's recent contract, what we saw here was that they just announced today they win a multi-million-dollar contract with new international defense customer for Gen 3 and Gen 2 assured services. It's weird that they don't say how many millions of dollars they secured in the contract. Multi-million, meaning like $1 million, or I guess $2 million would be multi-million, versus like 20 million is kind of like a big difference. So it's kind of weird that they don't say that. But one thing to note about Black Sky, we know that it's like we don't have to worry so much about the real world usage. When we look at Black Sky's AI technology, and we see they have their software screenshots here of recognizing boats, recognizing cars, even airplanes and heat signatures, and they use AI with their Gen 3 imagery, which, by the way, maybe you could see a face on this. I don't know. I feel like it's so HD. Never have I seen like really, really good satellite images, like what they've released, because I zoomed in on some of them and they're like really good images. Um, but that's great. But what about the real world usage? And that's where Rocket Lab comes in. Rocket Lab, I have a friend that is an engineer at Rocket Lab. I lived with him for 2 years in Boulder. He was working at a different space company. So I was introduced to them around $3 a share. And also ASTS, which is another company I was introduced around $3 a share, which is another really cool space company I'd love to show you guys. They have these satellites that shoot up into space, expand, and then shoot down cellular service. They're pretty cool. Um, but basically, the missions that Rocket Lab recently launched included this Gen 3 Black Sky mission. So they had this full stream ahead. Is that what it's called? Full stream ahead Electron launch. And they did it with Rocket Lab. So we know legitimately that in this, Black Sky is getting their satellites up there aggressively. And that's good reason to see them at an advantage. So more contracts, more defense contracts. They're now, when we look at their market cap, they're at under $1 billion still, so 820 million. I think that's realistic. I mean, their employees are pretty low. If you think about it, like 100 or so employees, let's say, working on the tech and making the satellites. And I see that comment there. JG says, I'm on desktop. It's great. Awesome. Jeremy says, HP material covered tonight. Nah, we have not. Marty says, what about the IPO Firefly Aerospace? Not too sure on that one. I don't cover IPOs as often. One IPO we'll most likely cover is Anduril. But what do you think about it? Let me know what the reason you're interested in it is. And so, do you guys see this? Financials on Black Sky. You got the revenue holding and increasing basically quarter over quarter. Annually, they're increasing their revenue up into that $100 million in 2024 and 2025. They're on track to surpass 100 million and more. It looks like so far 120 million. And then when we look at their balance sheet, they keep it fairly disciplined. Their cash on hand, they got about $250 million, and total liabilities staying pretty, I would say, disciplined. It actually looks really close to Redwire. Do you guys see Redwire? Redwire is 314 million and basically 247 liabilities. Black Sky is 284 and 196. So their ratios are like the same. But it looks like Black Sky has 284, Redwire is at 314. Honestly, Redwire has so much cash. Redwire has a lot of cash, guys. They got more cash than Black Sky. And Redwire is in revenues higher quarterly than Black Sky, and a more positive net income than Black Sky. And not only that, their market cap on Redwire has like 3 times the employees, but they have $2.4 billion market cap. Black Sky has, what was it, 714 or 800 million. So honestly, Redwire is fairly valued. Seems like Black Sky does have that upside though. I think they're actually pretty relative. They're relatively close. When we look at the PE ratios and stuff, they're pretty similar. So shares outstanding is another one. Kind of see that play out. You got 77 million on Redwire, and then on Black Sky you got about 31 million. So it's relative. It's fairly relative in size actually. And so then in that case, Black Sky has a lot of cash. That's what that means. So basically, Black Sky has almost as much cash as Redwire, and Black Sky is only less than half the size of Redwire. So Black Sky potentially could reach that like $1.5 billion market cap, something like that. What would that look like? Well, we see them at this resistance. They've really continued to trend upward. The bull case would be this new support at $25, and we see them potentially make this move back up in that $29, $30 range. So Black Sky's definitely going to have some focus here. So space tech companies, there's a lot of ones that are doing some real world stuff. I'm okay with opening up Cooler, but again, super high risk, even a little bit shady. So we'll see how long we stay on it. KULR, look at that. It continues to drop. It's down to as low as $6, but I think relative to where that was before a reverse split that happened right here, they're probably around about 40 cents or something. What happened with Cooler? Well, they changed up their tune and started expanding into a bunch of markets aggressively, even with very, very few employees. Started going to robotics, and then, which they aren't showing in the robotics, is a video that they had that was a promotional video that is not this video. Is it? Nope. They have a new video now. They had a promotional video that was basically kind of fake. I don't know if they saw my videos or something, but they had videos of their logo slapped on robotics that they were like claiming was their own. And I like Google searched them and was able to like take the image and do a cross-reference analysis with the image, you know, so it like you could search by image, and basically found that it was they were putting their own logo on other robotics tech to make it look like it was theirs. So as soon as we saw that, everything cut out on Cooler. They had really promising stuff, like, and the other thing that was a big catalyst negatively for them, and let's see what has happened recently. Expanding Bitcoin holdings. They basically become more Bitcoin focused with Bitcoin mining now. They're now doing Bitcoin, everything's Bitcoin now. Everything they're doing is moving towards Bitcoin. You see that? So they now, everything is Bitcoin. So they went from battery tech essentially to getting their SpaceX mission postponed, which in the article they released that I don't see here sounded like SpaceX was the one that postponed it. I don't think that's the case. I think they postponed it with SpaceX and said, we're going to go in this Bitcoin direction, give us our $2 million back. And so now that's what it is. It's not even, I don't know, is it a space company? I'll look at it. Is it a space company? And then they show pictures of like trading and stuff. Like, look how fancy the trading is. Like, I don't know. The problem is the change in the values and not holding integrity with their company. And so I'm not going to cover it anymore. They would have held integrity and at least like had a public service announcement where like, guys, we're losing revenue. We're not having as many deals. Our battery tech's not selling as much. We're going to pivot to become a holding company for Bitcoin. What do you guys think? We're opening up the discussion. What does everybody think? You know, like, this is what we're going to do. Here's some of the plan that we're going to take versus let's flash robotics at them. Let's flash that we're doing AI now. Let's flash that we're going to do this mission and that mission and then not do any of that stuff and just focus on Bitcoin. Come on. So that's what I see with the company. And it's a shame, really. I mean, it's like if I decided to start making content on YouTube about my passion for golf. I love golf. It's fun. I try to play it all the time. And imagine I start doing that and I just immediately started making content on golf. I don't think any of you guys would like probably care, right? I mean, I enjoy this as more of like, I feel like it's a great way to like serve you, get you value, help you get insights so you can make money and improve your financial situation. Like, that's why I do it. I enjoy doing it. It gives me fulfillment. I'm serving you. I'm in it. But like, if I started doing golf, you'd be like, yo, what the heck? I'd have to do a very slow transition. I would want to like start covering golf companies, and I would make an announcement like, guys, you know, I know we get up every morning and trade invest in the morning every day at market open, but I want to start like getting up and playing golf, and like I don't know, but I just know that would go a lot better with you guys as the audience as opposed to saying like, I don't know, just shifting everything and being like, it's all closed. Here we go, golf content. Or I mean, I also like other stuff. Like we could do pickleball. We could do like working out, going to the gym. I could do like my car, my GTS. I could like do some content on that. There's a lot of stuff that we could do. Real estate, just shift to real estate content and the real estate we do. We don't do that though. So you guys, I hear a lot of stuff here on some different companies. One of the stuff, Odone Rocha says Virgin Galactic is going up the next few weeks. What makes you say that? I'm curious. So we got SPCE, Virgin Galactic. A very, very exciting time when they started. Their stock was going crazy. Ever since then, in 2022, they've continued to sell down. The problem was the financials. They didn't come in with their commercial revenue for the space tech like so many were excited about, that they were doing space rides for people at $250,000 a ticket. And because they didn't come in with it, they didn't make it happen. Then what happened next was basically the revenues didn't come and investors sold out big on the stock, and as a result it tanked. You got $130 million market cap now. They're at all-time lows, really. Revenue is around $500,000 a quarter, maybe on average. Net income, they're losing about $80 million a quarter, about 400 to 500 million a year they're losing. And balance sheets actually, honestly, like pretty disciplined. Their balance sheet doesn't look bad. They actually have some cash. It does look like what's happening maybe is the total liabilities have kind of stopped out at 659. See, their assets shrunk quite a bit there towards the end, under $1 billion in 2024. So we'll be watching into 2025. They're still under $1 billion. Honestly, it's just high risk financially. It's kind of like a Neo, it's like, it could be cool. Parazero, that's a new one. Is it? Parazero just launched in 2024. Did it? Oh no, it's been around. Wait, no, Parazero. Parazero just launched in 2023. That's interesting because Parazero is one that was partnered with Cooler. Oh, and they don't have good financials either. Huh, interesting. $28 million market cap. All right, I'm going down a rabbit hole here. So anyway, SPCE, pretty high risk, selling off. If it shoots up, it shoots up. But look at that. That's pumping. Stay away from it, in my eyes. That's what I would say about it. Let's see. Clay Zabel says, thanks. Yeah, of course, Clay. Andres, you're right about Cooler, as they started very skeptical from the moment they bought Bitcoins. Me too. That came out of like left field. We were watching that and they said Bitcoin. And we're like, huh. For me, it wasn't so much the Bitcoin. It was kind of the robotics. But what it was canceling the SpaceX mission. When they canceled the SpaceX mission, I was like, okay, this is no longer a space company. But definitely when they bought Bitcoins, Andres, I hear you, Andres. Johnny says KTOS is looking great now also. I've seen that one. We'll have to jump in. Jeremy says MP. I hear that. Clayton, we like your stock analysis. Would hate to see you stop. That's why we're here. That's what Clayton says. I appreciate that, Clayton. Here for you, man. Whatever you need, let me know. So what we got is KTOS. Let's go. KTOS. Kratos, defense. Ah, okay, Kratos. Is that on our list here? I ought to add it. So this is a company that's been running up very aggressively. It's at an all-time high, $52 a share. See it rise and rise. It looks very overextended and overbought at the moment. You see it up in that RSI is looking way overbought. MACD looks overbought. You see it's just gone straight up. A lot of liquidity build potential for institutions to sell out. But let's take a look at their financials. So Kratos, $8.6 billion company. They have 4,000 employees, so that lines up. Their revenue has been consistently in the $300 million range with net income positive. That's good. Annually increasing. So very good. What are they at? $8 billion market cap, and they're bringing in $1 billion a year now. Balance sheet disciplined and good. Total assets outweighing the liabilities and increasing for the most part year over year. So I would say things look good there. Profit margins are a bit low, but that's okay. Obviously, you have some concerns. Maybe let's see what we're hearing here. No, actually bullish. You got $60 price targets, $60 price targets. A lot of hype though. See this hype? You got some hype. Fair amount of hype. So maybe if that kind of wears off a little bit, we could see what could be a correction. Just keep that in mind, especially being at an all-time high. And then defense, and I see there, Marty says, okay, see your comment there. I don't know about that IPO, Marty. You say space and defense, but it's expected to be negative for a while. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not sure about that. Marty says, what about NVIDIA? I heard 2 people mention them today at work. Yeah, I mean, NVIDIA is a long-term growth stock. They have the infrastructure for AI, and AI is continuing to grow. All right, so Kratos, they got systems, platforms. I think I may have seen them at Space Symposium. Let's take a look at their products, technologies. Looks like mostly warfare. You got space defense, warfighter readiness, and a system for missile defense. Okay. It's like a 1-pager. Got it. Take a look at investors, press releases. June, they secured completion of public offering. That's fine. Could send the stock down a little bit. How is it doing today? Down just 0.5%. Public offering of common stock. Okay, Security Solutions. June 16th, U.S. jet engine production. New advanced manufacturing facility there in Oklahoma. Where in Oklahoma? Bristow. Got it. Kratos awarded $25 million task order from U.S. Space Force. Only one fairly large contract that I see over the last quarter. So, or maybe 2. 2? Or 3. 2 or 3. So maybe they actually could come in with, based on those contract announcements, probably look like 150 million in contracts, which would put them 150 million in contracts, probably average, let's just say 5-year. It's about 30 million a year divided by 4. 7 5, 7.5 million. Probably adding to their revenue. It seems like the revenue's been pretty steady. Net profit margins are up, yeah. Maybe though, it could push them into that 10 million plus net income if their other contracts hold. It's kind of hard to say with the financials. Overall, pretty good. I think they're overextended. I wouldn't touch them because of how high they are right now. Financials look good. News looks okay. Not anything super recent, but we saw some at the beginning of the quarter. And then they're really overextended at the moment. So it's just, there's a lot of other opportunities that have pulled back that I would look at. Tanet says defense stocks doing really good. Yeah, especially with some of the new bills. Yep, definitely. That's awesome. Yeah. And Sue says, hello, Will from the East Coast. Yeah, awesome. Happy to see you. And or not see you, but happy to have you tuned in here. And then we got one more. I'm gonna take a look at one more. It's Amir says this. Mike is saying it. Is check out AMPX. Yeah, Victor, we did deep dives on Black Sky. APLD. If I go AMPX and I go APLD, we're gonna be getting into some energy stocks. Do we do that? We could do a quick rundown. So Amprius, AMPX, Amazon Devices Climate Tech Accelerators. They got a partnership with Amazon. They were just selected by Amazon according to this announcement that came out yesterday. If we go look at the company, let's take a look. AMPX. Looks like they're absolutely surging. They're up to $7 a share. Seeing that big surge. It looks pretty risky at the moment, but that's just based on prior patterns in RSI, the MACD, all the technicals. Really not a lot there to work with. Just seeing it surge up. There's a resistance and support there around $8 in this range. Not really much I could tell you about the technicals. Just surging straight up, maybe higher risk at the moment. Let's take a look at the financials. They see increased revenues quarter over quarter. Net income still staying negative, increasingly negative actually. Look at the balance sheet. They got total assets outweighing their liabilities, so their cash on hand is pretty good. Take a look at their company. They got these Amazon devices. Did they say how much money they're getting? They did not. News and events. Amprius sets June 2025 news strategic manufacturing in South Korea. They got Zephyr achieves world record 67-day flight powered by Amprius ultra high energy batteries. That's pretty cool. Seems like they're doing some real world stuff. Energy batteries are enhancing satellite operations. Okay. There's a lot. Okay. Let's see. How are they part of this? The problem is, and look, maybe this isn't intentional, but when you put out an article like satellite operations, batteries are enhancing satellite operations, and look at this, how much satellites are growing, and there's 12,000 satellites in orbit and projected to rise by up to 60,000. Understanding satellite energy, traditional energy, all these things, and they write a blog post, but there's no mention of their technology or contracts that they have or things like that. It's more of like a blog post. It's not news and events. So they need to not have that in their investors section. It's kind of like, look at this market, so big, everything. They got a $15 million purchase order there. So that's pretty good, 15 million. And that was when? Let's just double check. That was February 25th. So that probably showed up in their last earnings. There could be some movement, but again, financials look okay. Like we see them maybe increasing, but their negative net income is something to watch out. And then on top of that, stock super overbought right now, at least $7 price range, when their market cap is at $1 billion, but they're only bringing in 11 million a quarter with negative net income. Doesn't really justify that valuation currently. I know they got that Amazon contract, but doesn't mean just because it's with Amazon, it's a big contract. I could say I'm an Amazon partner, but I could go do that on Amazon in 5 minutes and be able to, tell you guys, go buy this cup here on Amazon. And if you go buy it, I make 30 cents or whatever for every dollar. You guys know that? It's like an Amazon partnership. And like, so they didn't attach a dollar value to that partnership with Amazon or that contract, which is a little bit, I guess, kind of a red flag, or maybe it's just something to watch out for. I know there's partnerships, but partnerships. I could get a certificate with NVIDIA and then say I'm partnered with NVIDIA. You know what I mean? So kind of just something to keep in mind for your investing. So yeah, that's kind of the outlook. If it sells back down, I think maybe into this $5 range, somewhere in here, this previous resistance, $6 range even, would be a little more attractive, but won't be touching it as of right now. But thanks so much for bringing it to the attention. I really respect you guys doing the research, looking at the stocks, getting to the point where you're getting to make decisions that you feel confident about. I mean, that's awesome. Some of you guys are much more experienced. I know I get some really complicated, really great questions, and then some really simple but very important questions as well from you all. So appreciate it. One thing you got here left here with APLD. APLD is really been on a run data center wise. And so we're kind of pivoting a little bit over into data centers from space tech. This is cool though. I'm all for it. APLD. Looks like APLD continued to run up to $10. This was what we said was going to happen. Let's see how close we were. So over the last few days, we were looking for this move with APLD. We're looking for that 18% swing in the bounce on this previous support level at about $9 a share. Looks like it did bounce. It's been continuing up for the last really day and a half. So it is in fact following that trade, which is cool. We actually have some APLD, and 10% from that support at $9 a share, and they're looking to get up into that $10.70 range. Can they make it? I think so. That's why I got it targeted. I think actually APLD not only can make it there, but if they validate that previous resistance as a support, we could see them surge as high as $13 a share, 50% increase from there. But from current prices, just about a 30% increase. So nice to see it make that move. When it comes to the technicals, that's what we're looking at. They're going to face resistance here around this $10.50 range up into this $11 range. But overall, they're starting to continue up. Now, when it comes to APLD, there is data center growth for sure. They're in a great market. They have some really cool marketing as well. I think that they're right when they say the epicenter of AI, because data centers power AI big time. They focus on traditional, or basically bringing big tech companies away from traditional data centers into what are their APLD next gen data centers, engineered to bring workloads directly to the point of generation with wind turbines, hydroelectric, renewable sources like solar and what have you, and strategically placing them in cold places so they use minimal amounts of energy. On top of that, you also have them AI factory. There's a case study there, but they just signed what was a $7 billion deal with CoreWeave. They got Supermicro. Supermicro builds all the housing inside of the data centers that hold the GPUs and things like that. NVIDIA works with them. xAI works with them. And they work with Intel, Supermicro, obviously, NVIDIA, Hewlett Packard. So as far as their developments go and what we're seeing, pretty good articles on their developments. And then the financials, I think this is where things were getting interesting, is that their revenue is increasing. We're seeing their revenue go up. Their net income was kind of not that impressive, and their balance sheet Total assets 1.7 billion with total liabilities at 1.2. Maybe not the perfect mix. Liabilities are a little high, but they're disciplined and they keep their cash higher than their liabilities. So overall, things look good. Total assets up 165% year over year, while liabilities only 130%, which means they're growing their assets. Net income was it negative in that one quarter, but up 42% year over year, which is good. And revenue's up 22% year over year. And it looks like they're making that run. So we'll see if they make up to that $10, $11 range, excuse me, and if they can continue. Otherwise, there's a support at about $9 a share that we're watching. So, Anthony, hopefully that gives you a good breakdown on APLD. I think they're a good company. I think they're making some good partnerships, and data centers are a big key to the infrastructure of the internet, of AI, and the blockchain too, as they work with some Bitcoin mining companies. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, smash that like button. You got Marty in here. I see Andres, Clay, Anthony, Victor. We did talk about Black Sky to Net. Thanks so much for tuning in. And when it comes to, and Johnny, thanks for tuning in, Johnny. JG, Adone, you got Jeremy, Amir, thanks for tuning in. And so when it comes to, thanks, Mike, appreciate it for being here. So when it comes to the market live session tomorrow, we'll be trading at market open. If you want to join us there, it's the second link in the description. And again, that lifetime access sale is going away. So if you want to join us there with the current sale with lifetime access in its pricing, there's about like 5 or 6 hours left on that offer before we transition into some new models. Again, recurring Monday through Friday, you get all the targets for the week as we got earnings like Monday through Friday when they're reporting either pre-market or after hours, along with targets and the community of like-minded investors. And even I'll send you a free t-shirt when you enroll anywhere in the world. Internationally, I'll send you a free t-shirt when you join lifetime access of Stockmate. So I would love to shoot that over to you. Thanks so much for joining, guys. Appreciate you all. And do consider subscribing if I earned it. See you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in. And Journey again, thanks. James, thanks for tuning in. See you guys.